We'll kind of give everybody an update. Say hi.
Okay, maybe next week we can update from not in Vegas.
Well, we hear you loud and clear right in the center there, because that's where the mic is kind of going.
Okay. So whoever needs to talk needs to be in the center.
Yeah, if we were to do anything, we can hear you loud and clear. So that is you're on the spot, Katie.
Okay, well, I can. If you guys can hear me, we've been here for the past few days in Vegas. We're focusing on our wildly important goals that we got from 4DX, 4 Disciplines of Execution, and we're all just kind of wrapping up. This is our last couple of hours. Had a great past few days just getting to know everybody and working on my goals. I have a clear plan of what I'm going to do to get back to my office and implement. So I'm really excited. And about this accountability course, real quick, I've been in it for the past year and doubled our business. It's really helped me just stay on track, stay accountable. I've learned so much. So I'm really grateful for this trip. Awesome. Anybody else want to step in the middle?
I just want to say quick, for anybody that thinks that I must have paid Katie to say that, that's just Katie. If anybody needs a good testimonial, she's your gal. I'll tell you, she always will tell you how she's feeling about everything, and she'll give it to you straight. So anything else that you guys want to share about what you've done, what you've gotten out of the event? They're all quiet now. I have not been able to get these. I was so hoarse yesterday.
Liz, why don't you let Katie sit back down and tell us about Made Central?
We already recorded a big testimonial. But it's been a life changer, I will just say.
She did record a video. We recorded a video for you, a testimonial, the people that are using it.
Yeah, but Made Central has also been a complete game changer in my business, a life changer in my life. So
yeah,
it's been a lot easier just to know where things are going in the company.
Oh, Travis is coming to talk.
I'd like to say that this event really helps you focus, get you back on the track wherever you want to be, and I really appreciate everybody here and everybody's contributed, and gets you right back to where you should be.
Tell them who you are, Travis. I don't think a lot of people
I'm
know.
Travis with More Hands Spade Service out of Houston.
Awesome.
Yeah. We love Travis. But he doesn't
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
I just did.
Thanks,
All right,
Okay.
I got a flight to catch.
All right.
Bye, Travis. So you guys, I didn't want this to be a testimonial. That's kind of what it's turning into. I didn't want that. What I was hoping is that you guys could share what you've gotten out of this and what other people should be doing going into this last half of the year.
Okay, so we worked on our wildly important goals. I actually, so I've never had goals broken down so granular to where, we're going to involve our whole team. So we're going to go home. We're going to involve our whole team and get buy-in from our whole teams to help us complete these goals. And that's really what I learned from this event, is that you need buy-in from your whole team. And 4 Disciplines of Execution is the book you'll need to read to learn about that. But that's what I got out of this. And I think that everybody should be working on their goals for the last half of the year. We're already in June. At the end of this month, we have the last half of the year. So start working on your goals. Plan where you want to be, where you are now, where you want to go to, by what date, and share that with your team. Ask them how we're going to get there, and you're going to get the buy-in from your team. Yeah. So that's what I learned.
Technically, the 27th week of the year is tomorrow. So next week marks the end of this week marks the midpoint of the year, basically. Wow. Not even the quarter, but the midpoint actually is Sunday, basically. So you guys are on the right track. I love the wildly important goal idea of focusing on key things and just driving on those ideas. So like for me, I look at some key numbers in my business, like payroll to revenue. I look at things like sales numbers when I'm looking at quotes, how many quotes we got, how many of those we turned into opportunities, and how many we turned into sales. And so I love it. You guys just drive those numbers the rest of the year. I think you guys are going to kill it. That's the most important thing.
Yay.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Thank
Well,
you,
we got-
guys.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Wow. Cool. So I want to just give a special shout out to Corey. So we were talking behind the scenes when we got started. Corey and I met, it sounds like it was like one of his first weeks at Drive Social Media. So Drive Social Media is the agency that puts out all those wonderful Facebook ads that if you've ever visited my website, you have seen, because I purposely allow them to be seen all over the country because I want other maid services to see what we're doing. And it costs me pennies to do that. So I could narrow it down to St. Louis, and people have been like, oh, your targeting's bad. No, that's intentional because I've always had, the goal of sharing my strategies and visions with other companies. And it costs me very little to do that. So if you've ever been to our website, seen our cool videos, our cool ads, they've been behind that. So we've been working together for 7 years. And in that time, Corey shared with me that they were at $700,000 or $800,000 a year at the time that he walked in my door. Where are you guys at now, Corey?
This year, we will probably finish somewhere around $40 million in revenue.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. We're all jaw dropping to think about that. And so those folks just came out from a meeting where they were focusing on kind of a key metric of business to kind of focus on. What does Drive focus on? What's like your kind of like, North Star principle or wildly important goal? I mean, is it just growth? Is it like, what are you guys looking for?
We're definitely focused on growing. Inside of that, though, I think our driving principle, and you'll see this all over our office. I know you've visited enough times. We go by a pretty catchy tagline, which is ROI or die. We look at it as if our clients aren't making money, they definitely won't be able to pay for us. So we need to first and foremost serve them. And as we continue kind of beating that drum, you got a one hand washing the other scenario. And we have been able to continue to scale that across the country. And we're big on the servicing side too. So, I think that helps, like where we go build in people's backyards like Nashville and Miami. And we work directly with the business owners on helping them grow their revenue and overall use effective marketing.
Yeah, that's an amazing growth story. I mean, that's 7 years. Basically, you're doubling every year and a half is what you would have to do to make that happen. So that's about, what is that? Like 80% growth per year. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, we've made the Inc. 5000 list if you're familiar with it, and obviously the St. Louis Business Journal here multiple times due to our rate of growth. And yeah, there's probably, I guess it was 5 years straight we doubled revenue every single year. And so that's where now obviously we're getting to bigger, land grabs in revenue, and we have more teams. We're growing, but it's not by percentage wise as insane as it once was.
So one thing that everyone always tells me that like drives me crazy, because I'm like, well, Facebook marketing doesn't work for me. And I smile and I say, it's my number one source of revenue generation. And if somebody comes to my website, it's my number one source to continue to market to them, even beyond following up with them with phone calls and emails and everything else that we already do. But we can catch them on a platform that they're using in really random ways, 24 hours a day, on the seat on the toilet, right? Like
oh yeah.
Phones don't leave people's hands. People are taking showers with their phones now. It is not uncommon for the phone to go in the shower now. I've read more and more studies that are saying that like some weird percentage of adults shower with their phone now. And they're reading the news in the shower. It's an absurd number. Like it's not leaving their hands. So when people tell me it doesn't work, I have to say it's getting harder because Apple made it a little harder with the phone algorithms and things like that. But it's where people are at, right? It's where they're at.
And that's always been the crux of all marketing, right? Like finding out where your exact customer is spending their time and attention, whether it be the Super Bowl or the billboard that's in the neighborhood that you service, and then putting a value in front of them that makes them, stop and pay attention to you. And so, yeah, social media and smartphones. All you got to do is look at, any happening restaurant on a Friday night in America, and you can see people, just as many people in conversation or as many people buried, stuck and looking at their phone. Or if you go to the gym and, and that person's sitting on your piece of equipment,
Yeah.
It's
the worst. And it's like, Actually, I'm really bad about it in one way because I swim a lot, and I'll bring my phone to the edge of the pool, and I'll be checking my messages in between. Like, we use walkie-talkie with Tom. So sometimes, Tom, when you're walkie-talking me, I'm swimming laps and I'm getting back to you between sets. And so I'm kind of bad about that too. My phone comes with me to the pool. So, you know, it's right on the edge of the pool, right next to me while I'm getting my swim set in. So, yeah, man, like the phone is where you need to reach people. So there's other ways where they're at, but I mean, I don't know the number. Do you know the number of minutes people spend on their day, hours they spend on their phones per day? Is there like a quantifiable number?
It's something actually I was going to hit on today. It's over 90 plus minutes on social media alone, but 3 to 5 hours a day just looking at their smartphones. And then what's even crazier is the amount of phones in the world. There's more phones than people in terms of smartphones, and screen time's like up to like 13 hours a day now.
Is that in the U.S., North America, globally? What?
So the phone count, there's 8.4 billion global mobile connections. And then that 3 to 5 hours a day takes into account the entire world. And North America is the heaviest concentration of Facebook and Instagram users. And they're the ones that are 90 minutes plus a day checking that platform or varieties of it.
Yeah.
Gee,
So
you got me thinking now. Am I one of them? I might be. You know, you're not even aware you're doing it.
Everyone's use case is different. That's a great point, Tom. Some people are on Marketplace or Messenger, like Matt said. Some people use Instagram or Facebook, but in some way or another, they're touching that platform. And those kind of micro moments they get throughout the day to kill the boredom.
yeah. Yeah, I would say if you were to put like a tracker on it and actually quantify it, you would actually not like the number. It would probably be something you don't want to know necessarily. Like I have done things where I've taken Facebook off my phone and, you know, just try to use it when I'm on desktop and things like that. And then I just find that I'm going back to my computer more. So I'm like, shit, just put it back on the phone because I'm going to look anyway. Sorry for the S word. We'll have to beep that one out later. But it's going to be one of those things that, you know, if I had to quantify it on myself personally, I don't think I'd want to know the number. I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, it's Apple gives you that update, and I just tend to ignore it every time I get it weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that turned off. You can actually turn that on in iOS. So how can small businesses maybe take advantage of, you know, so most of our users are, you know, they're in the SMB range. Like most of them are, you know, so somewhere from just getting started to maybe, you know, our largest companies on here might be doing, you know, $5 million a year. So most of us would be in the SMB range of like small to medium sized businesses. What can someone do to kind of get started and leverage this, you know, this media?
Yeah, so I do have kind of like some visuals I can walk you guys through that would illustrate this. Let me go ahead. I'll share my screen here to kind of give an idea. All right.
We see it?
Yep, we're good.
And it's loading on my end. 1 second. So I kind of hit on the crux of advertising and how it's always kind of existed. You know, the biggest reason why people aren't choosing, whether you're a $5 million, make things service or you're just getting started. You know, people buy, the industry is established, so people buy what is being sold. The reason why they're not choosing your business is simply because either A, they don't know you exist, or B, they're not thinking about you when it comes time for them to buy, right? So what we have to do is solve that kind of attention, that awareness with your consumers, and marketing and advertising has always existed this way, where, you know, the place where people spend the most time and attention has always been the most expensive. Well, since, you know, the smartphone really only came out in like 2008, one of the advantages you have right now if you're a small business owner is it still hasn't reached apex like a billboard or like TV or like radio that are much more established advertising mediums. And so the competition isn't so high. So you can really get a good cost-effective way of getting in front of your consumers and overall even generating leads out of this, generating business out of it. part I kind of touched on is the 8.4 billion global mobile connections. There's no greater medium in the world that goes with you absolutely everywhere like the smartphone. And then with 3 to 5 hours a day on their phone, you know that they're spending the time and attention here. It's not just like it's a part that goes with us. A lot of focus is being spent on this. So that's the medium. But in terms of channel, right now you're like, all right, where do I spend my time, right? Where's my most cost-effective time spent? And Facebook and Instagram are far and away the biggest drivers for that time and attention when it comes to social media. There's 2.8 billion global active users on this platform on a monthly basis. So if you were to boil this down, just looking at North America, 84% of people over the age of 18 check this platform daily from a mobile device. So that means 8.4 out of 10 of the people you want to talk to are going to give this time and attention. So that's a huge piece of solving where do I even spend my dollars. If I think about where else can you reach 8.4 out of 10 of your customers, because not everybody's going to watch the same TV shows or read the same news outlet or get the same direct mail piece or even drive by the same billboard. But 8.4 out of 10 of your customers can see this. So we talk about it going everywhere with us. It really is true. It goes from date night, it's in the bedroom. Oddly enough, it's in the bathroom, it's in the gym with us. It follows you everywhere. You know, you think about it, it's like I can't leave home without my A, coupon, or B, smartphone, and it's overwhelmingly B. So if I'm looking to solve my overall advertising problem or my customer generation problem or my customer loyalty problem, the number one way I can continue to give my value to people and find people that are likely to buy my services is using this platform. Now, we talk about time spent. It only continues to grow. You know, you look at all the other websites in the entire internet you can be spending time on. Social media is really when people pull out their smartphones where they're looking. I would recommend, though, and this is where you talk about people saying Facebook doesn't work for my business. I think there's something to clearly highlight and state here is I would recommend a paid strategy for any business.
Yeah.
When Facebook was in its beginning stages, you could create organic content, which basically means if you make a post from your page right now, right? In 2011, that post would reach 100% of your users and followers, your fans basically, and followers. As of 2016, that number for organic distribution has shrunk around 0 to 1%. And the biggest reason is the competition for news feeds. So when you open up your phone or you open up your desktop and where you're actually getting information from, it's just grown because the amount of advertisers going there, but also with the amount of users that are using the platform. So you want to focus on using paid content for each of the consumers. And it can create, like when it comes to a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, right, owned by the same company, these are all the different places you can see an ad, right? So everything from like where you originally were seeing it on desktop, which are like your right column ads or your newsfeed ads, or now you have things like in-stream video, instant articles, messenger stories, right? And then when they acquired Instagram, you get everything in their platform too. So you have all of these places you can get served content to your exact consumer, to the people that you want to reach, that can afford what you sell, that are in your buying radius, and that are either currently prospecting businesses like yours, or they match criteria that make them an ideal consumer for you.
And what's cool is that as you're using the ads builder, and there's actually even some mock-up tools. There's a mock-up tool within the ads builder where you can actually see what it'll look like on all the different platforms. Exactly. It adjusts the look and feel so that it looks native on each platform. And it'll even give you some suggestions onto what you can do to make your image pop a little more. And it'll be like, you should add this filter or increase the saturation of the image so that like someone's eyes come to this a little bit more. So that mock-up tool, like what you just displayed, will actually help you maximize how it'll look on all these different platforms. So I love the look of that slide.
And the other, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit more too, because I know, you know, one of the things that's made your business so successful, Matt, is you've always been, since we've known each other, right? We were saying like 7 years. You're very focused on the data, right? You look at the traffic and the data, and it helps you refine your marketing, continue to grow your business and be successful by understanding what resonates with the people you want to do business with too. And so that helps you look at like what type of creative. Is it video? Is it you know, this value? Is it Is it what type of creative should be in the image? Is it cleaning a home, or is it my team? All of those things allow you to really refine your message. If you have a small budget, or you're saying, hey, I want to run a really low cost of acquisition marketing approach, this is one of the first ways I would start doing it. And once you validate, you get proof of concept, this works and works with your audience. Now maybe, right, it depends if you want to go from that $500,000 to $5 million. Now maybe you start folding a little bit more in your advertising budget, and and definitively what should be in your TV commercial or what should be on your billboards, because you had it validated on a smaller, more cost-effective scale with using social and digital. So,
and not just customers, you guys have helped me with Spanish language marketing to, certain targets, to when we were really big on going after, employees through Facebook. And now that we're actually, so my next sprint is in a week, and guess what I'm going to be talking about is we need to refocus on that Spanish language market. And where else can I target it? There's no place that's cheap that I can get a hold of those individuals. There's Facebook groups that we post in and things like that as well locally, but I want to continue to engage them. And then when they see us posting in those Facebook groups, they'll be like, oh, I've seen their ads before. That company's big. That's where I want to go work.
And that's you hitting on a better point. Increasing familiarity with your end consumer is going to make it more likely when even they're prospecting what maid company they're going to choose.
Yeah.
Continue to remarket these people and influence these people on their buying journey, right? Their confidence is going to be so much higher. I always tell people, if you have a runny nose, rarely do people say, hand me a tissue. Commonly people say, hand me a Kleenex. Same thing, you tell people to Google it, right? You might use Yahoo and Bing, you're a small part of the market, but you would tell people to Google it. And same thing when you look at maid cleaning companies, a lot of times when consumers are first getting into the market, they don't know who to choose. This is a great way for you to put yourself ahead of your competition and make sure you're continuing the conversation with them to make it easier for you to convert them as a client. So this is kind of the ways I look at, putting people in buckets, right? And creating a funnel out of your approach to your Facebook. And you probably have, if you're an established business, more of this material, but I'll talk about how you can start if you don't have any of it. So when I say more of this material, what I mean is people that are going to help influence or are currently prospecting you, think warm leads, and they're coming from a variety of places, right? These are people who are currently engaging with either your ads that you've been trying in the past, right? Or they've been visiting your timeline because potentially one of their friends told them about how great of an experience they had with you. These are people visiting your website, right? They're interested in possibly submitting a quote or looking at what people are saying about you, looking at the service you provide. These might be email addresses or phone numbers, or maybe it's community activation. Maybe you're out in the community at a 5K, or you're door knocking on businesses, and you're collecting this data from these people, right? We can use this in really powerful ways, and then we'll use that to even create kind of like a scenario of how do I think people 99% like the folks that are choosing from me already? So when you look at Facebook fan targeting, it's one of the things Facebook has taken away. And I think it's important to understand, if you're starting out and you're starting to build your page, fans are actually one of the elements that have very little to do with purchasing from you. The people, due to the fact, what I would say that is, if you're like me, right? I have friends and family from all over the country. If I was to recommend they like Better Life Made's page, right, like Matt's page, there's no correlation between them liking his page and then buying from Matt. They just simply took my advice did something as a favor to me to like his page. Harvard did a big study on this and showed there's no correlation between simply liking a Facebook page or liking content and actually buying. It can be an indication of what resonates with your audience, but it doesn't lead to sales. The more warm leads you're going to look at are the people that are actually watching your videos. Matt talks about, I get hit with Matt's ads all the time, right? Where I see him talking about Better Life Maids. I see his maid, commercials that are super entertaining. And if I'm watching them, right, and I'm his core audience, I'm starting to get entertained. Good commercials, look no further than like insurance industry. The insurance industry is super good about entertaining their end consumer. It's an actuarial business, right? Very, very much ones and zeros, bean counting, kind of boring in general. But all of their commercials are really notable. Everybody knows, Flo from Progressive, right? And Mayhem from Allstate, Geico and the Gecko. So if you can get people to stop and pay attention to you, you're giving them a value by entertaining them. In addition, once they start looking at filling out lead forms or visiting your timelines, or even flipping through your carousel ads, your multiple images of what you're offering, right? They visit your Instagram profile. If they like your page, you can interact and engage and retarget these people up to 365 days. So these people have just crossed a big threshold. They went from not knowing about your business at all to now being aware of you. And that's where they're moving down the funnel to starting getting closer to researching and considering buying from you. So these are people you want to continue nurturing and staying in front of. Now, after you get past that point, right? Once you engage with me on Facebook, I don't care if it's because of your word of mouth marketing, it's your direct mailers, it's your drive-by traffic, all roads lead to Rome. If people are considering buying from you, in order to get your phone number, in order to look at your services, in order to fill out your lead form, they have to go through your website. And so you can actually remarket to people that are hitting your website, whether they convert as a lead, they pick up the phone and call you, but any one of those people who might not possibly have converted, or people who just visit your website and understanding, even on a high performance website designed to convert a lot of traffic, over 90+% of that traffic is going to simply bounce from the website when it lands there. So these are people who are already considering you, but for some reason or another, maybe your website's not mobile friendly, maybe it doesn't have all the information about what you provide. You can continue having the conversation. So this is even further down the funnel. They're really starting getting closer to asking buying questions. How much does this cost? What can you do for me? And so really, really valuable to stay in front of these folks. And especially when you understand 57% of consumers visit 5+ different brand sites before purchasing. So over almost half the amount of people that are looking at 5 of your competitors before they even buy from you. So this is super important to factor in. It's one of the reasons why Matt says his audience is so broad. He continues these conversations across the country, and he wants people to see, if you've ever visited his site or engaged with his content, that's how this works. That's why you continue to see it. And you're very familiar with him, become the trusted figure. The other thing is all the people, phone numbers that you might have collected, whether you're door knocking, you're going business to business, right? Even if you do a manual scrape where you go and identify all the business in your area that you'd like to be in communications with, right? You take those phone numbers. You can upload those into Facebook, and you can actually identify those people on the platform. You can start marketing to them.
That's interesting. So for a B2B business, you could actually identify those business. Would that work for a business phone number, or would that you need a personal number?
Think the way you would do guerrilla marketing, right? You walk into that business, ask, hey, who would I want to talk to about this? Odds are they're going to give you a name and number, maybe a business card. That's where you would be able to get in touch with that business, right? At the end of the day, the business is an inanimate object. You wouldn't want to reach the business anyways. You want to reach the influencer or the decision maker in that business with your ads.
So not a lot of us are B2B, but there are a lot of us that go to commercial. So think about that, guys. Like you could actually use your LinkedIn network, your other networks, and then take that to the place that they actually spend most of their time. While I am on LinkedIn for a moment a day, maybe to check like messages that some other marketers sent me to try and engage me, I'll read their message. And actually, somebody sent me one that was really good the other day that I actually plan to respond to. I'm actually gonna copy their format because it was actually like really good. And so I at least owe them a, hey, your email format was very engaging. Your inbox was engaging. But you can actually, once you've made a connection on LinkedIn, you could actually take that data and actually, create a list of businesses you want to target, like the top facilities you want to do. Especially like someone like Tom, he does a lot what we call residential. He could look at all the mid-rise apartments. He could look at all the retirement facilities in Charleston and get like the decision makers and upload them into Facebook and then be like, hey, next time you're looking for a bid, let me take you out for lunch and we'll talk about it. Like it could be just like almost like super targeted, like that. That could be really effective.
So the number you're looking for is like their mobile number, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other part of this is so there's probably a place that's even easier to glean these from, right? What about all the people that call in to get quotes over the phone that you don't hear back from? Right? If you have a good voice over IP phone system set up, there's inexpensive ones like Vonage and Ring Central, where you can actually retarget the phone calls that are coming in.
You actually do that at Drive. I don't have that service because I use a company called 4Voice, but Tom uses Ring Central, and like you guys integrate directly with like lots of these companies like Vonage, Ring Central, and you guys pull the data in. Now I give you my logins, and you guys run reports and do it for me. But yeah, we're doing that, and I find that to be incredibly effective. When I look at the reporting and I say, wow, like this audience does really well that's previously called us but didn't buy. That is an audience we want to be marketing to. So that's something to think about.
Oh, you got to think, you know, I'm 34 years old, so I'm not a spring chicken by any means, but even my generation hates jumping on a phone call. You know, a text and email is a very preferable way to communicate, right? So if somebody's so hot and bothered that they can't find the information on the website, right? Or they don't even care to wait till you call them and they call you, that's a hot lead. That's somebody you definitely want to stay in front of. So and you can use that technology for remarketing people or run that report at the end of the month, take those phone numbers and upload them as at least something to cover that base there, right? If you think about it this way, and just kind of looking at the next part of this, email addresses you can do the same thing with. You know, if you think about it, data is trading higher than oil. Like the $1 trillion publicly valued companies, right, are data companies, right? Looking at Alphabet, right? Looking at Amazon, right? Looking at Apple, right? Data companies. Right? Data is trading higher than oil. So like this data, if you have this information, this is how you monetize it. You know, if you have email addresses you're collecting or people are submitting leads, right? Taking that information and building audiences out of it is a great way to stay in front of them, because even a high performing email campaign, right? And you could write the best emails in the world, but like you're looking at a 25% open rate, right? Yeah. Consumers getting 37 emails a day. Right, 25%, 1 in 4 of your actual prospective buyers or clients right now are likely to even open that. And that's if you're the best in the email game, right? The one Matt has just described, the guy who's got a great email template. So most businesses are closer to like 10 to 15%. If you put this information into the platform, you can compare customer profiles. You can serve them ads in their newsfeed 2 to 4 times a day if you want to or if need be, right? If you're running a big promotion or something. So really gets powerful. And beyond that, and this is actually talking about what Matt said, I won't hit on this too much, it's kind of exclusive to Drive, but there's software that'll clean that data, run it into Facebook, and allow you to reach AI audiences. And AI is one of the most impressive things about what Facebook and platforms like Google are providing right now. So if you take all of your customer data and you're looking beyond, you're looking at people who buy from you, you're looking at people who are prospecting you, look at people who are visiting your website, right? People whose information you've gathered. You can actually use that information to identify people that are 99% like them in behavior and profile and interests. So you can take your best customers, build a list, and find people that share 99% in similarities to them.
And this works, guys. So this is crazy, but like there are whole businesses built around this outside of Facebook in like the political, like, and so like political operatives, like for years have been basically creating lookalike audiences based on people's, you know, buying habits, magazine habits, things like that. But the amount of data that Facebook has on you, and then you can create audiences that are even more targeted than those. And think about all the money that goes into politics, the billions of dollars that happens every year, and they're not even getting as detailed and granular as Facebook is. All you really need to do is figure out like what the demographics of what your customers look like and find more of them. And Facebook will help you with that and create lookalike audiences that are incredibly effective. I use it in some marketing we do for Made Central, and it drives a lot of traffic to our website and very inexpensively generating demos for the software for people that I've never met before. You know, we've never had any relationship up till now. So, you know, and again, of course, in my business for Better Life Maids, yeah, absolutely. I would say this is probably one of our best performing audiences. If I were to break out my metrics, I'm always surprised at how well Facebook does at matching audiences.
And I think the large part of that is because, you know, if a lot of us aren't super data minded, right? So if you're not good about visualizing data and building regression models, which I can raise my hand and say I'm not good at building regression models, Facebook takes that heavy lifting off of the plate for you, and it uses hundreds of thousands of data points analyzed in real time, and it also has this neural network, right? If you ever want to use their technology and register your page on Facebook with them, right? You're helping them understand who is prospecting you. And you can't go directly after your competitor's business, but they can identify people that are in market and near market for your solution based on other sites they're visiting. And so the interesting thing about it, like kind of Matt said, is like there's tons of political operatives that have been trying to do this for years. Really, it can be made about governments doing this. The difference is we give Facebook our consent to do it when we use the platform. And you can also, when you upload that information, when you upload, I think this might be Matt's favorite part these days, is if you, and he keeps talking about the success of getting out his campaigns and the leads, you can actually upload your data from your CRM and see how many people were driven in by your ads.
Right.
And that gets really powerful because now you can measure the effectiveness of your marketing and you have a better idea of where your dollars are better spent. And you can start really narrowing down if you're on a small budget, right? Or if you have a big budget. You know, the number one thing to look at is scaling that out so you can grow with it.
I'll share, like, you know, so in general, this may not sound like a crazy number, but we're spending, you know, roughly between our retainer with Drive and our ad spend about $4,500 to $5,000 a month on our social media ad spend with you guys. And so with that, you know, we're getting almost a 10x return at minimum, and oftentimes closer to like more like 18x return. We're averaging 15 though. So for every dollar that I put into Facebook marketing, I'm seeing a 15x annual return back. Now, when you think about the lifetime value of a customer in the maid service, multiply that number by 2.8 to 3.5, depending on how long you keep your customers, then I'm really getting almost like a 50x return on every dollar that I put into Facebook. So roughly, if I just get 13 or 14 recurring customers a month, that doesn't sound like a crazy number. But if I think that the average customer is going to spend $4,000 a year, right? So if I spend $5,000 to hit $60,000 in annual sales, would you do that every month after month? That's my logic behind doing it.
And those customers, you're talking about recurring customers. So, you know, even at a 5%, you know, churn rate, you're going to have them for 20 months, right?
Yeah. Even if your churn rate is terrible, and my churn rate is closer to 2.8 to 3%. So I'm keeping them 33 months on the low side for my average customer. So it's, you know, even a little better than that, you know, so it's almost 3 years.
Is there like, so you're spending $5,000 a month and you're getting a heck of a return off of it, which kind of begs the question of what would happen if you spent more? I mean, is there a point of diminishing return where
the point is right now is I don't, like, up till this week, I didn't have enough staff. I've been staying the course, even though I haven't had the staff to even like deal with all the leads that are coming in, because I don't want to give up market share. And I'm such a believer in, I don't want people to forget about me. And guess what's happened in the last week? Well, in the last 2 weeks, we've hired 11 people. I've got 7 of them on property already. And 1 didn't show up today, but I've got 3 more left, 2 next week and 1 the following week, all in pipeline. And it's only growing. So we've all been waiting for this dam to break on the employee side. And here I am today, all of a sudden, and I have, you know, I mean, basically I've got almost every employee that I have training somebody else because, you know, it finally kind of cracked. The dam broke, and now we're raising our revenue targets by $1,500 a day all of a sudden. Like we're getting back to, you know, 90% of COVID levels. And then my goal is by August to be at pre-COVID levels, 2019 sales levels by August. And the dam has been the holdup up till now has been labor. But I'm sort of a believer of just not turning your marketing off and just keep making that investment. I just believed that the labor situation would turn around, and I didn't want to get behind that curve when it did. And it just happened so quick. Like, I don't know, you know, Missouri was one of the first states to do away with the unemployment extra. And I don't want to get into politics, whether I'm not sure if that's 100% of what's going on here, but that seems to be a big driver. That ended a week ago. and all of a sudden I have 11 new employees on property, and they're great employees. Some of them may have been on the sidelines, or now the job market has all of a sudden gotten more competitive. And so, people, that waited are going to have to pick what's left because all the other jobs have been taken. There's, a lot of jobs have been taken. I don't know all the reasons behind it, but it broke. And now we're going to explode in growth, and we're prepared.
So back to the, the Facebook, marketing and the targeting and being able to take a bunch of emails and phone numbers and upload them into Facebook. And so let me get this right. Is there like third-party software in here, or will Facebook actually look at your leads and then recommend other leads that are similar that ain't even part of yours because they share, the AI says that, I've got more people just like the people that you have. Is that within Facebook, or is there other software involved?
Yeah. So the way that ultimately, like what you see right here is the manual labor part. Easy way to think about it. This is something that we do inside of Drive. But what you would do is you would just say you would want to run a report of all new customers or customers that ran for the month of June. All payments ran, right? You run a report of those customers. Specifically, you want to look at the very unique personal identifiable data, like phone numbers and emails. You'd run that out of your, Made Central, right? Run that out of Made Central. You actually can then, if you organize and clean it, probably export it via Excel, right? Organize and clean that data. You can upload it directly into Facebook. And from there, they're going to say there's 180,000 people within a 20-mile radius of your location or your service area that match the criteria that are similar to these people. And so you could then run ads to those people and build an audience off of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's really as simple as that if you were wanting to do it yourself. And so we have it automated with Drive, where they're doing this for us and making sure that that's happening. But it's something I still do I personally do that stuff for Made Central. So Tom, we're doing that now. We're doing some of that kind of targeting now to kind of find users for the software that don't already know us. And then we're introducing them to our ideas and to our thought process.
Yep.
It's interesting, Corey, because, we have SEO professionals on Smart Business Moves. We have people on Smart Business Moves that do like Google, AdWords, retargeting, things like that. Mm-hmm. And pretty much the person is like, hey, do you guys do anything with like social media, Facebook? And they're like, no, we don't do that. So share with us a little bit. What is it about Facebook, Instagram, the other social media platforms that's different than what your traditional AdWords person or SEO person would be doing?
Yeah, the easiest thing to think about it, those platforms have been around just a little bit longer in terms of their ad platforms. So I'd say they have like a decade head start. So that it's easier to have people who've kind of learned that technology just by exposure. The other aspect is the barrier to entry for Facebook is it does take some know-how. It can definitely be a black hole of spend if you don't know what you're doing. And the easiest thing to point to is like boosting Facebook posts, right? A lot of people, it's a self-service tool Facebook creates. And it's not designed to get them sales, but they could spend, like in Matt's scenario, they could spend $5,000 a month. It can increase awareness, which in effect can get you sales, get you leads, but it's not really designed that way. So there's some technical know-how. There's a reason why it's a little bit less touched by people, or people maybe used it in the past, but have had struggle with it being effective for them. That's the number one barrier, I would say.
I think the other thing that maybe we need to address is the creative. I mean, you cannot run the same, like the thing about an AdWords guy is he's going to be able to run the same ad for a year, maybe 2 years before it goes stale. How long do you think it takes to go stale for an ad on Facebook? What do you think? A quarter, maybe 3 months?
You get how fast does Geico change from the caveman to the gecko? It's like that kind of gives you an idea. If they're doing it on a TV level, imagine what it's like on Facebook. So you've had some evergreen content too, and that gets interesting where it's like you really hit a sweet spot with you.
But we rotate it though. We turn it off for a month or two, and then we reintroduce it. Like we have videos that have been playing for 4 or 5 years. We nailed it. And then what we'll do is we'll be like, all right, let's turn that off for a quarter and like let it get kind of recycled.
Mm-hmm.
I think the number one problem that people faces is creating content that is engaging.
Right.
And there's templates that work, but then those templates get played out because everybody's doing that same thing. Like emojis are the thing of the moment, right? Like putting emojis really like colorful and bright and catch people's eyes. But that'll get played out and everyone will like catch on that that's being used to like, grab their attention, and they'll be like, that have to be another thing. Like video for a moment there was like just incredibly engaging on Facebook, and they had the autoplay as you scrolled, and it would catch your eye. And like for a while there, they had it so the sound autoplayed as you scrolled through. And so as you scrolled through your news feed, like, some video would be blasting. Now they have that dinned, and you have to, some things still autoplay, but very few do. So it changes so much. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's another good point. It's just rapidly changing. And I think it's hard for people to keep up with. Our strategy's changed 2 times in the last 2 years. Pretty much you can count on it. And sometimes there's years where it changed twice in the year. The AI built audiences, that's something of the last 3 years has been available. Conversion tracking, Matt, I don't know if you remember when that came out. I'd say like 4 or 5 years ago, and you can start tracking your conversions.
Yeah.
Offline data purchase and stuff like that. So it's just rapidly changing. And it makes it very hard for, it's hard to be the ad guy setting ads, kind of like the AdWords guys are. And then learning at the same time about what's changing, what technology is coming down the pipe that is worth testing.
That's the thing, man. Like as a business owner, can you afford to keep up with this amount of knowledge and change that's constantly happening? If your ad budget is $1,000 a month, you probably can. You start scaling up to $5,000 a month, you can start burning a hole in your pocket, and you might have been better to have, reinvested a little bit in some professional help. But the platform is designed to be self-serve, but you almost have to be taking like a course like on Udemy or like Lynda or one of these like learning platforms, and just keep taking new courses, because it is ever evolving, ever changing. And that's the challenge that I see most, is that what worked yesterday is not going to work tomorrow, or it could be a totally new strategy in a week. It's evolving very fast.
And I can wrap some of this stuff for you guys, because that's the other part that I think Matt hits on, is like, there's so many different ways you can put people in buckets. Like I think a lot of times folks forget about their current customers or current clients. And don't forget when someone hits them with a big value, for some reason for them to change. So if you can continue to stay in front of these people too, what you really end up creating is a funnel scenario. Because the other one is, there's still people you want to influence in your market. And this is where the secondary targeting comes in. This is no different than like picking from traditional marketing, where you're going to pick people based on interest, location, life events, age, gender. And so you can use all this. And when you do it correctly, you're building a funnel. And so this is where you're really getting multiple ponies in the race, and knowing how to set these up correctly and measure where your leads are coming from most effectively and where to spend money is probably the tricky part too, because this takes, again, lots and lots of time. And I think you hit on a good point, Matt. It's like, I personally don't do my own taxes. I don't cut my own grass. There are things I find that I'm better off outsourcing. If I do that, there's probably an opportunity cost to my time. I didn't always do, I wasn't always in that boat, but that's where I am now. And so if you're finding, you're saying this is really eye crossing to me, I already have enough problems managing, humans right now, or I'm really the person that's really good at the sales side of this. This might be something worth outsourcing, because like, if you're not setting it up like this, or things I went over didn't kind of flow in your head to be like this is where you can really run into challenges. And that's kind of how the people you talked about before with SEO and kind of the AdWords stuff, it can be a lot of like repeat, set it and forget it. And so it just would be the opposite of that in this scenario. But to kind of help you guys picture this and why we use this funnel idea is like, your human-based audiences are going to be your most flawed, because humans are inherently flawed. They're going to be based off of what you feel, and they also don't know about you either. So the next best audience are people who don't know about you, but they match all of your current customers' profiles or your prospective customer profiles, so the people considering doing business with you. From there, engage users, right? They get it with an ad in their feed, and now they're aware of you, but they still haven't started researching you, which is where it starts becoming part of the closing process. And so once they start researching you with true buying intent, right? They're looking for your phone number. They're submitting as leads. They're looking at your services. These people are asking buying questions quietly. So we really want to make sure we're focusing budget on these people because they're the warmest to converting. And then same thing with phone calls. Now, once they convert, it depends on how you approach business. If you're always in search of new business, right? You're not like Matt, where you understand the value of kind of keeping everyone in market with you. Then you would eliminate the current customers from your marketing, right? And you would refeed that though to back in to feed your AI built audiences and just continue to rinse and repeat and refine your cost of acquisition to scale out your ROI and continue filling your funnel.
But it's not a bad idea. It's not even a bad idea to even still hit your current audience with certain like specific messages in our industry, like, hey, Merry Christmas. Thank you for being a great customer. And like, you know, maybe that could be a little creepy or whatever, but you can make it not. You can target them in a way that's like, we're so grateful to have such wonderful customers. Like they make it possible for us to pay great wages to our employees and like, you know, basically like socially engage them in a moment of, like on Labor Day, thank you to our team and our wonderful clients that make that possible. There's ways you could target them, your current customers, to engage them that make them think about you in a way that they might otherwise not. So you want to stay ahead of them as well.
You do seasonal pushes too, don't you? Like with people that might have been like win backs or people that maybe did a single cleaning. I don't know if that's still the case.
And we do gift cards to our current audience over Christmas. So our current customers, we push really hard, for seasonal sales over the holidays too. So yeah.
Yep. And this kind of brings me right into like messaging, right? So like the best part is you can kind of A/B split test your values, right? And even your audience is in here too. It's kind of easy way to visualize it. Whatever your value is to your audience in your area, first cleaning free, went up to a free year of cleaning, right? Whatever it is that you want to talk to your community about, what you can do that's nice, as opposed to running an ad in the newspaper or going with TV or billboard, where you can only really say one thing. You can pause campaigns that are costing you more to generate leads, and you can reallocate that budget to the ones that are getting you the lowest cost per lead. This also works really well when you're looking at, I want to say multiple things. Matt's not only looking to bring in clients, but he's also looking to bring in staff. So you can from your brand talk to people very differently based on what you want to, ultimately what you're trying to engage them in. And so, I don't think many people would want to take out a billboard, even at $5 million, right? To say, looking for staff. It's quite the investment to make, and create the same funnel. So a great way to purpose from a creative side. I think, kind of giving you an idea. The other part is, if you were to hit them with a really good piece of creative, right? Whether it's direct mail, it's a magazine, it's TV, it's billboard. Like if they like it anyways, it's going to drive them online, right? They're going to start researching you anyways. This is such an easy way to make it for people to convert. Facebook's made it so easy to convert. Or if you see an ad and you decide you want to do business with that company, you'll get what is called a lead form, right? These lead forms auto-populate a lot of times the information. It's one of the reasons why I continue to buy more from Amazon than I do from other businesses online, is they save my information. So I don't have to worry about putting that back in, and it makes it very easy to convert, and it's called low friction for your consumers. And so this could be for acquiring data, which is, it's super valuable. If you're just looking at people who are visiting your website but have never reached out to you, I mean, how valuable is that email address to be able to add them into your email campaigns, right? How valuable is it for them to reach out and say, hey, we're offering a free year of cleaning, but in order to be entered into it, right, what we ask is you have your first cleaning with us, right? When would we be able to, or even our first free cleaning, right? We'd like to schedule a free cleaning with you. Obviously, I'm not in the industry, so I'm paraphrasing here. Forgive me if I'm messing up, but just kind of giving you guys an idea of how that all works. And so that kind of brings me on to the end here. So
Corey, this is head spinning. This is awesome stuff. Certainly can see how this would be useful to house cleaning businesses. Tell us a little bit about your service. I mean, obviously you've got a number of large clients. Obviously Matt's a client as well, has been for 7 years.
Yeah.
Do you work with small business as well? What would the profile be for anybody out in our audience that would be thinking about, well, gee, I wonder if they would even take me as a client?
We absolutely would. So our whole business model is around the Fortune 5 million. right? All the businesses that are small businesses in America, anywhere from $500,000 to 25 million really is our sweet spot, right? We work with brands as big as, we do projects with the St. Louis Blues and the Nashville Predators, and even, we did the NHL All-Star Game. We do projects as big as that, but really we're like the people that are in attendance today are our core demographic. They're the businesses we work best with. We grow with them. We help them look at their marketing differently. That way they don't have to have an entire internal marketing team to do that. So that's, I would say anybody probably in attendance today would probably be a good person worth reaching out to us. And whether we can improve on it or just give you information like we kind of just did today.
So you're located in St. Louis. I was looking at your website. You've got an office in Miami and Nashville, but do you have to be in one of those cities in order to be a client?
You don't at all. So we actually, one of our big partners is Orange Theory Fitness. They have about 1,000 domestic franchisees here. We work with about 700 of them, and they're all remote. Very few are, we do have the ones in our backyard, right, in those markets, but in general, they're all serviced remotely. And in addition to that, we work clients in New Zealand and Singapore and Spain and Canada. So we are well equipped to work with anybody that is not in our backyard.
So I'm going to drop the link to your website in chat. So it'll be out there in several Facebook pages and a couple of YouTube channels. Is there anything more that our audience would need to know if they wanted to reach out and learn more about your service?
No, our website makes it really easy to contact us. If you do that, we're big on nurturing our leads on our end too. So you can guarantee we'll follow up with you and set a time that works around your calendar to kind of walk through what it is that we do and how it help you. We're big on expectation setting on the front end. I'm sure Matt can tell you. We're not. It's marketing, not magic. So we want to make sure you understand what it is we're doing and how we help you and set those expectations. And so it's a lot of hand holding on the front end. So just, I always tell people, if you call me and say, I need clients overnight, I probably am not the person to do that, but I can build you a scalable, repeatable ROI generating model.
Okay. So I'm on your website now. Does that mean you're going to be showing up in my Facebook feed tomorrow?
Yeah. We use our own strategy. How do you think we got in front of people like Matt?
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually, I go to their website from time to time and I get hit with their ads. It's honestly, everyone that's on the show today, if you have another brand that you want to learn about and see how they're advertising, you should go to your competitors' websites and see if they're retargeting you. You should go to other brands that are even outside of our vertical, and then see how their ads show up and get some ideas. If you're not going to do this on your own, you should do your research and see what kind of ads that you're getting and what's effective and what catches your interest. And they're very good at this. So you're gonna see some ads for you. So I suggest you go to their website and get an idea how they're gonna reach you, because it's like you said, they're eating their own cooking, right? They're delivering on that same kind of premise of reaching you via the social channels that you're living on, basically, and taking you to the shower. So
we are at the top of the hour. Is there anything else we have here to wrap up?
No, just thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Corey, man, you guys are awesome. This was good stuff.
Thank you, man.
Of course.
Okay. Well, thanks a bunch. We're done for today. We're done for the week. We'll be back Monday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Smart Business Moves. You guys have an awesome rest of the week, and we'll see you Monday. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye.